Here in Adair Park, Atlanta, Georgia. We are just between Christmas and New Year's. And I had told myself I wanted to give myself an artist in residence so that I could spend some time creating, because having opened the studio back in March and getting classes going, I've made some stuff. I've actually made a lot of stuff. All the stuff behind me, it's all available on my website, mollysanyourceramics.com. Just revamped the website, lots of new offerings, lots of new pieces. But I haven't really pushed my own artistic boundaries and techniques. So I was thinking that over this holiday, I could do just that. So I've been hand building. I started by rolling slabs. I've been sharing the process on here. And I'm at the point now where I want to attach some feet. Actually, I had this as a sketch that I did the other day. It's like an idea that could be a circular vase with like a knob lid and then little feet. And I made these under plastic right here. Whoop, sliding off. Okay, so this is like the smallest one that I've done so far. It almost looks like an alarm clock as I'm looking at it here. So I don't love these feet. And those diagonal lines were actually just me trying to create form in 3D. I didn't want diagonal lines. I actually really want it vertical, like very linear, contrasting the circle. I wanted both sides to match up, which I messed up on one of these. So anyways, the feet. I don't love these feet. And now I'm thinking I'm gonna pull handles to do little loopy feet. So let me wrap this one back up, because hopefully it's still wet enough that I can just score and slip new feet on if I like these. So I'm gonna pull a bunch of handles, and I thought I would go live. Let me see how I can see comments. Let's see. Live chat. Okay, thanks for tuning in, guys. If you've got any comments, questions, let me know. Otherwise, I guess I'll just get into it. So when I'm pulling a lot of handles, I like to start with a big hunk of clay so I can just make multiples in one go. And then I also like to start by forming my clay into like a carrot shape. So it's like a continuous, thicker to thinner, gradual. See? And then like this one too, it's just really thin right there. So this also kind of helps like loosen the clay because I just cut it off the block. So again, fat, thin. We don't love this crease, but it's okay. And then here's like a bigger hunk, so I'm just gonna squeeze it. It's just helping my future self out. Like that's really thick, so if I squeeze it now, later it'll be easier. Basically like a handful at the top, and then other than that, you want to taper the clay off. Now, if I was just doing one handle, this is like way too much. This is enough for a lot. But again, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 potential pieces. Let's do some math. 7 forms, and they're each going to need 5. 4 legs, a lid. That's going to give us 35 pieces. So we might as well make like 40 handles. And 2 of them, 10. We need 12 small for the little guys. And I have 3 mediums, 15. Let's do 17 medium. I have 2 big ones. So let's pull, you need at least 10. So let's pull like 13 big. Okay. I find that that helps me to have like a list. And now we'll pull this over here. Wrap this clay up. Hopefully, I guess I'll need some more. Well, I'll just make what this does. So here we go, bucket of water. Might as well start with, yeah, we'll start with this big guy. Okay, bucket of water, wet right hand, dry left hand. Left hand holds the fatter end, and then the wet right hand, it's all about the negative space. If you want like a more curved handle or a more linear handle, and then you pull through. So the wet right hand, left hand is dry, and you pull through. Okay, if you just pull here, then it gets thin and then it'll just rip this fat end off. So the key is pull through. So I've just done this for a while, so I'm gonna get going while I chat. So pulling a bunch of handles, pulling through, and then I do like to rotate. Now, as this clay is getting longer and a more consistent thickness, now I really do have to kind of think, is this my big, medium, or small handled feet? And I guess we should just start small. Even though this feels too big for small. So, okay. If you're just tuning in, I'm making a brand new body of work over this holiday break. I'm Molly Sanyour, coming to you live from Sanyour Ceramics studio in Atlanta, Georgia. And I love creating and playing with clay, and I consider myself a clay enthusiast, and I've taught clay. I have a degree in clay. I opened my own pottery studio here in Atlanta where I teach clay. 8-week classes are my favorite. And in opening the studio here, I haven't been creating as much of my own exploratory work, trying out like a new body of work, if you will. So over this holiday, I've been getting in the studio and I've been trying to create new stuff. So these little feet are gonna go on these little pots that I'm making. So I'm just trying to think proportionately. See, it's a little wider and like how thick. Okay, so now this, kind of want, you know what I see people on the internet do? They like go plop, plop, plop. So maybe I'll do that. No. Then normally I just like rip that off and make a handle, but I'm trying to make several handles out of this. I need a needle tool. Be right back. I figure I'll make this batch. This is my first round attempting these pulled handled feet, if you will. And so I've been documenting the process, sharing it along the way, but this I'm going live, kind of figuring out these handles. I don't really know what I want them to be. So I'm running my thumb down to give a little groove. I don't know if you can tell there's like a little groove. And then, I know you can't see this table, sorry. I'm gonna cut them. And then I need a guide so that I can recreate the same length. So let's pick a tool. It's better to start longer. Cut that, cut that. All right, so I need 4 for each piece. But ultimately, I cut that. You can see. And I kind of want those to like touch right there. Maybe they do. Maybe I blend them and then roll them like that. Cute. Okay, so now I'm just gonna make a bunch of these. So I like that. So now that I've made one, we'll try to give it another go. Just measure the same. We'll touch them. I'm gonna blend them. And give it a little press. Make it round. Okay, I'm liking this. I'm liking this. I don't know if I can see your comments, but I love a question. So if you've got one, let me know. Meanwhile, while I'm making these little feet, I can tell you about this studio. If you're in Atlanta, we have one-time workshops just to give you a little taste, have a little girls' night, a date night, a solo adventure if you've been trying to get more creative, especially in the new year, new you. And one-time workshops. I need to also get my towel. We're launching 4-week classes. Let me see where. Okay, we're launching 4-week classes. And all of these classes are for all levels. We assume that people have never worked with clay, but we love it when people come in and have worked with clay and they're building their skills. So after the 4 week, which is like if you like the one-off, the 4 week allows you to really get the full clay experience, trimming and glazing. And then the 8 week class is the one that I teach, is 8 weeks curriculum to take you on a whole full journey with clay, from hand building to cylinder boot camp to throwing bowls and trimming bowls, all the basics. And then you run, you fly, you make whatever you want with all the skills you've learned. And if you come in with experience, or if you're a repeat student, which I love, then you are going to come in just developing your skills. You're going to kind of figure out, where are you? What skills are you good? You feel strong about? What skills are some that you haven't tried before that maybe you should push yourself? I mean, technically, my students, they grow so much in the 8 weeks. The students that have taken my March, and I think we had 4 or 5 8-week classes, and each time they make a body of work, I'm impressed. They're doing great work, and I'm so proud. So I need to do better documenting our class. Maybe next time. This time, fresh start, new beginning. Okay. Dry my hands because it makes it easier to work with. Cut these to the same length. Pulled handle. I'm going to wrap it around my finger until they kind of meet. And then I'm going to go ahead and compress these together. And then roll it on the table so it's flat. Maybe I should have done more with those. There we go. Oops, I just got that one. All right, that's 4. We need 12. But I am excited. This whole collection is kind of stemming from my love of making contemporary functional ceramics that you'd find in like a luxurious house or interior space that just feels a little bit more elevated. The pottery, the handmade pottery, just feels like contemporary. So part of that aesthetic then leads me into making all white pieces. You'll see up here, this is some of my recent exploration in this new studio of these hand-built vases. They're poorly constructed and they do leak water, but they make a great statement up there. I love them up there. And I love, previous to this studio, Sanyour Ceramics here in Adair Park, Atlanta, Georgia, I worked out of my home studio where I had a wheel. So everything was really wheel thrown and then maybe altered. At the school where I taught high school ceramics for like a decade, basically. They had a slab roller and they had an extruder, but both were kind of cumbersome to use, and I really didn't get into it that much while I was teaching. Some students would use it, but again, it wasn't like easy to use. I have a slab roller here. I can show you all real quick. We have a slab roller and an extruder. So here's the extruder and here's the slab roller. And look, Larry hand built that. How awesome is that? And then we have all of our wheels. And then we have our hand building work tables. We have all of our natural light. And put you back here. Oh, sorry. Got the comments. 6, and I need to pull more. I'm sorry that you can't see the table. I'll pull up here though. So I'm getting into hand building using the slab roller, pulling handles, done many times. So anyways, these pieces that I kind of sketched the inspiration back there, kind of going circular. I love a circle. And I'm going to make them just dipped in white, which I hope that this white, finding a glaze is really a tricky part. And I like just a nice white glaze. And in my Richmond studio, I had a nice white clay body, nice white glaze that I really liked. It was my go-to. I just did everything in it. I loved it. Well, come to find out that that clay wasn't vitrifying at my cone temperature. And then moving here, I got a different white, and then we're trying to make our own white recipe. And now I might check out Standards glazes. I really hope that they have a great white. You know, I do like a glossy white, but I'm looking into getting a matte white as well. And a few other basic color palettes, and then some kind of fun different options as well. So I did just pull that, and I'm putting it here, and then using a tool as a guideline to just cut even thickness, little handle parts. Then I can wrap around. Like I might even be able to pull one more off of this. But it's not very evenly thick, so. Okay. Cut this, wrap it around my finger. This is also, so my 8-week class, and when I'm teaching my students to really develop their skills and their artistic voice, it's like if you want to make something, like I want to make this. I've never made this before, so I shouldn't just make one of them. I should make several because they each will teach you something. Same way with all these little handles. Ooh, little feet actually, not even handles. The first one compared to this last one. Oh, I thought so. This one I'm gonna blend together. Kind of like compressing. It's so wet clay that it just sticks, and then I'm gonna roll it down, press my finger in that, but keep it round. And just make sure that that seam is compressed. Okay, who's counting? How many did we need and how many do we have? I should have probably been blending this more, to be honest. But that's what you do. You learn as you go. And if I just did one of these, I wouldn't learn as much as if I just go ahead and make. So how many of these am I making? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm making 7 of these forms. I also tell them that a body of work, I love to see at least 3 of a piece in a similar voice, because that is a really nice cohesive body of work rather than just making a bunch of like random stuff. All right, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. We need 12. All these little scraps are pretty fresh, and I'm gonna have more, so I can just wedge those and pull more. But I have this handle here, and this is why the top part stays fat and dry, so that the left, this is my left hand can hold here, wet right hand, the negative space between your hand is what's gonna pull. And I kind of tend to go for more of like an oval. Now I'm gonna squeeze this to get it more gradual first, so it gradually tapers from thicker to thinner, and then I can pull. And it's just important to keep the right hand that's pulling wet, so it glides through. And then your pressure, it's just like pulling on the wheel. If you've thrown on the wheel, you kind of pull a few times to get the thickness or thinness of the walls that you want. Same with pulling a handle. It happens gradually. You pull through. I'm just gonna go ahead and pull this. And even though I need 2, I'll probably be able to get like 3. And I do kind of like to quarter turn. Okay. Oops, so see, mine are kind of more thinner and then thicker. See that? That's what I like. So I'm gonna put this down here on my dry work table and then take my tool and just cut. I'll have to show another angle of this another time, but working on that. In fact, oh, okay, now this one's looking, whoop. This one's a little too thick for me to cut a section, so I'm just going to pull more. Just to thin that clay out to give me a little more. I don't want it that thick. Good. Then I can use, again, my same guide. That lets me get 2 more. So I'm going to finish these small handles that I'm rolling into. So I just cut this, rolling it around. I'm going to blend this seam together. It helps if they matched up. Blend, 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 blend. And then press, roll, keep it round. And then when I'm attaching these, I can kind of pick the best ones that fit. Part of me wanted to put a texture on them, but then I thought, I put texture on the front and the back. So the hand pull of the foot, I think, will just be the moment. And before I go, I will show y'all the mini one, the small one that these are actually for. Maybe I can attach them. Again, this is a whole new idea. This was the idea. And I'm taking advantage that my studio is kind of closed for the holiday, just meaning that there's no offerings or classes going on right now. Just revamped the website, just dropped a lot of new offerings for the new year. And so I'm excited to create some stuff myself. All right, but that, I think I was saying all that to say, okay, those are all the small ones. These are my leftover bits that can just literally, it's so soft, they can just squeeze up and get put right back into become another handle, to be honest. Like if I was just doing one at a time, this is what it would look like when I start. Okay, it's slightly wider to slightly more narrow. All right, these are the small feet. And this is the small, this is what I'm working with here. So that was the vision. This is where I am. I don't like these current feet, so I think I'm going to take them off. And for that, I'll just use this. Well, let me, before I take them off, let's visualize. Let's visualize this. It's probably smart. So I want the vertical lines to be vertical. That I realize I messed up on. Okay, so let's see if that's going to stick. And then the idea is that there'd be one there. Mine is, it looks like a cat right now, and I can't unsee that it looks like a cat. Needs different feet. This is why I didn't square and slip them. And then the idea is to cut and square and slip the knob so it could really be a vase. Let me put these feet aside. And I think I need an X-Acto knife for this, and I should also have a template. I've learned that with a vase, you do want to allow I'm thinking of functionality. If there's one knob and it comes over, what else can it become or be? Or do we just, would it sit? See, I need to have like, let's look at it with this. Minus the feet. It needs a foot. I've got to clean all these lines up. So I don't know if you can tell, but like, see that little thing? I need to look at it, but no, it's gone. All right, let's play with. Could go on this way. This way. It's really hard to see past these things. I think I'll come back to this one. Okay, let me wrap this up. All right, I'm gonna go figure this out and do some other recordings, but I'll see y'all back for Throwing with Molly soon. And make sure you subscribe and leave some comments.